So if you've ever tried to learn a bit about building websites, you've probably hit this exact same question. What in the world is the difference between HTML and HTML5? Is one just a newer version? Is that all there is to it? Well, it's a super common question and honestly, a really good one.
And yeah, this Reddit post, it absolutely nails a common sticking point for a lot of people. But here's the thing. The answer is so much more interesting than just a version number. It's actually a story about fixing a web that was kinda broken, about unlocking incredible new features, and, believe it or not, even creating some new dangers that nobody saw coming. So yeah, let's get into it and unpack what HTML5 is really all about.
Okay, so when you first look at the difference, it seems pretty minor, right? On the left, you've got the old way of doing things. Think of it like a bunch of identical, unlabeled cardboard boxes. Everything just got thrown into a generic box called a div. You had no idea what was inside without opening it up. But on the right, you've got the HTML5 way. Now we have boxes clearly labeled header, navigation, and footer. The code itself tells you what it's for. This was a massive step forward. It made the skeleton of our websites way more logical and a heck of a lot easier for humans to read.
But here's the kicker. This was way more than just a simple code cleanup. These new, meaningful tags, what we call semantic tags, weren't just for show. They were introduced for a really, really important reason. So what exactly do they do, and why did they become so absolutely critical to how the web works today?
And this is the most important thing to get straight. HTML5 isn't some totally different language you have to learn from scratch. It is HTML. It's just the modern standard, the version we all use now. And its whole mission, its entire reason for being, was to give real, understandable structure to web pages, to finally rescue us from that endless ocean of generic div tags.
And this is where it gets really cool, the why behind all these new tags. You see, tags like article, nav, footer, they're like universal signposts on a web page. For a developer, it's great. The code just makes sense at a glance. But think about this. For a machine, like a screen reader for someone who's visually impaired, this is a total game changer. Instead of just seeing a mess of divs, it can now understand, oh, this is the main article, or, okay, this is the site's navigation menu. All of a sudden, the web became way more organized and usable for everyone.
But like I said, this wasn't just about making code look prettier. No, the push for HTML5 was a full-on rebellion. It was a reaction to a web that, back in the day, was getting seriously bogged down. It was slow, it was riddled with security holes, and it was completely hooked on these clunky third-party plugins. So check out this timeline. For years, the official group in charge of web standards, the W3C, had pretty much just stopped working on HTML. Development ground to a halt. But the web was exploding. So you had this massive gap between the official rules and what people were actually doing. A new group, made up of folks from the big browser companies, called the WhatWG, saw this and said, you know what, we'll do it ourselves. They decided to build the version of HTML the web desperately needed.
Oh man, if you were on the internet back then, you totally remember this. Every single video, every little animation, every cool interactive thing, it needed a plugin to run. And the king of plugins was, of course, Adobe Flash. The problem was, Flash was a nightmare. It was closed source, it was a battery hog, and worst of all, it was a giant security risk. The web desperately needed a way to handle this stuff on its own, natively. And then came this bombshell. In 2010, Steve Jobs wrote his famous Thoughts on Flash, and this quote right here basically put the nail in the coffin. He publicly drew a line in the sand. The future was open standards like HTML5, not proprietary plugins. And HTML5 was ready. It came with its own built-in tools like the video tag, the audio tag, and Canvas for graphics. It brought all that functionality right into the browser itself, finally letting us ditch those clunky, unsafe plugins for good.
Okay, so we've got this awesome, modern HTML5 code. But how does that, become a website on your screen? How does the browser take that text file and magically turn it into the websites we use all day, every day? Well, the process is actually pretty cool.
It all goes down inside what's called the browser engine. You can seriously think of it as the brain of your web browser. It's this super complex piece of software that's basically a master interpreter. Its job is to read the HTML for structure, read the CSS for style, and then put it all together to paint the final web page onto your screen.
And this engine has a very specific two-step dance it does. First, it does something called tokenization. It just scans through all the raw HTML code and breaks it down into tiny individual pieces, or tokens. It's like, okay, that's a start tag, that's some text, that's an end tag. Then it takes all those little pieces and assembles them into a logical tree-like structure.
And this structure has a very important name, the Document Object Model, or the DOM. The DOM is basically the live, interactive blueprint of the web page. It's the thing that JavaScript can then grab onto to make the page do cool stuff.
So, let's recap. HTML5 made the web more powerful, it made it more accessible for everyone, and it made it more open. It sounds like a perfect success story, right? Well, not quite. All of this new power, all this new complexity, it came with a hidden price tag. It created new security blind spots that almost no one saw coming.
Yeah, 45. That number is pretty shocking. When researchers did a deep dive and a full security analysis of these new web standards, they found 45 separate security issues. And here's the crazy part. It turned out that the very same features that were designed to make the web better and more powerful were the exact things that opened up these brand new, totally unexpected security holes.
And one of the most brilliant and, frankly, scariest of these new attacks took advantage of a simple new feature in HTML5 forms. It's called injection of submission controls, which sounds complicated, but what it means is that an attacker could hijack the information you put into a form in a way that was basically invisible.
Okay, so get this. Here's how it worked. A new feature in HTML5 allowed a button to be placed anywhere on a page, but still submit a form that was somewhere else entirely. So, an attacker could slip a totally harmless-looking button onto a page. Maybe it looks like a Read More link or a Next Page arrow. Now, imagine your browser has already autofilled your username and password into a login form on that page. You click that innocent-looking arrow, and bam! Your login info doesn't go to the real website. It goes straight to the attacker's server.
And that's what made it so genius and so dangerous. The entire attack used nothing but standard native HTML5 features. It didn't need a single line of JavaScript. This made it super stealthy because a lot of security tools are looking for malicious scripts, not malicious HTML. It's just a perfect and kind of scary example of how a small, seemingly good change to a web standard can blow up into a major security problem that nobody predicted.
So you see this pattern, right? This constant cycle of innovation and then reaction. We add cool new features, and then we have to scramble to find and fix the security holes they create. And that whole idea leads us right to our final, and maybe most important point, about how the web works today. For a long time, the two main groups working on HTML had completely different ideas about how to do it. The W3C, they liked the snapshot model. Think of it like releasing a new version of a textbook every few years. HTML5, then HTML 5.1, then 5.2. Each one is a finished, static product. But the WHTWG, the browser folks, they pushed for a living standard. Their idea was that HTML should be more like a constantly updated website than a printed book. It's never done. It's always being improved with new features added and, this is key, problems getting patched as soon as they're found.
Well, in 2019, the debate was over. The living standard won. So that's the world we live in now. HTML isn't a static thing with version numbers anymore. There won't be an HTML6. There is just HTML, a single, constantly evolving language. And that's so important because it means it can adapt to new technology and, crucially, react fast when new security threats pop up.
So when you boil it all down, the story of HTML5 really shows us that the web is built on a constant trade-off. Right? Every single time we add a new feature to make our experience online cooler or more interactive, we're also adding complexity. And with complexity comes the risk of new, hidden vulnerabilities. It's this never-ending dance between innovation and defense. And that leaves us with a really big question to chew on. As the web keeps getting more and more powerful, can it ever really be secure?